One of the big questions is,
what is money?
For practical purposes, it exists in a series of heterogeneous databases, very different databases.
do you believe in crypto?
Digital currency may be an answer.
But it is the highly speculative asset.
I do own Bitcoin.
There is no second best.
Welcome to the Crypto Curious podcast. Every Wednesday, we dive into the dynamic world of cryptocurrency. If you're new to the show, we recommend starting with our early episodes where we break down the basics and give you a solid foundation to understand the crypto world. And for the Crypto Curious, the seasoned addict or the industry insider, we're here to help you unpack the latest in digital news. And this week on the show, is Bitcoin about to follow gold's lead? Also, did BASE just lose their golden child status with a meme misstep? Bitwise drops a Q1 report, some bullish news, or is there some things to be worried about? We'll unpack that one. My name's Tracy, and as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Blake and Craig, bringing you news this week. Hey guys, how you going? How was your Easters?
Pretty good, Trace. Great to have a break. Craig, did you get some time off or what?
Took some time off away from the markets, ate a lot of chocolate, and I'm ready to get back into what's happening. Hopefully some good news, Trace.
Yeah, we're always looking for good news, and it feels like there's a bit of positivity in the air.
Oh, momentum shift.
You declared this, and I can't say I agree, but I'm always on the side of being optimistic.
I am very optimistic, and there's a bit of positivity around. Gold, not crypto, but gold just broke through the $3,200 mark, and that's an all-time high. And other analysts are now pointing to a familiar pattern with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin may be about to follow in gold's footsteps. There's always a bit of a delay, apparently. What are your thoughts when I put that out there, guys?
Yeah, that's right, Chase. This is based on some analysis by our favorite Twitter shit posters. They reckon that Bitcoin lags gold about 100 to 150 days, and with global liquidity hitting a record high, this lag could place Bitcoin's next surge in the middle of the year, which does line up to our timelines. What do you think, Blake?
Yeah, look, because of all the volatility in the share market, it looks like now people are looking to move their cash into somewhere a little bit safer, such as gold. And apparently China and other countries are buying a lot of it at the moment, resulting in, the positive price movement. And yeah, I think that a portion of that could flow through to Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin has held up relatively well compared to the stock market. Global liquidity is also an important one. And maybe we can just explain that for a minute for everyone here. Now, it's possible to get a total sum of all the money in circulation because governments are often printing money. And at the moment, we're at all-time high levels. China's printing, US is printing, and lots of other developed nations, the euro. And as a result of that, a portion of that trickles down into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but it does take some time.
It's probably also worth noting just Bitcoin holding up anyway. Like, it's only 19% down from all-time high. When you look at the olds, especially like Ethereum, 67% down from all-time high. Solana, still 50% down from all-time high. So like, considering everything, Bitcoin still being only 19% under is pretty bullish, I think. Like, I was surprised. Like, I thought it'd be down 30, 35%, which is what we've seen on past corrections, but yeah, it's still holding up.
Yeah. And this analyst has also come out and said that there's been 95,000 Bitcoin snapped up in Q1 2025 alone from institutional buying. So that's like investment funds and large organizations. So I think this is a pretty positive sign.
Very positive. That's the largest quarter ever for institutional buying. So yeah, I think that's huge. Positive signs, like I said. So gold's ripping, Bitcoin apparently 100, 150 days behind that. So we'll see if history can repeat and if Bitcoin can ride this liquidity wave. But those are bullish signals, and we have been waiting for some bullish signals, so I'm here for it. Let's move on, boys, to our second story. Coinbase, one of our favourites, everyone's darling, has found itself in some hot water late last week over what some are calling a stealth meme coin launch, but the company says it's all just part of an experiment. So what actually happened with this content coin, I'm putting in quotation marks, and why did crypto Twitter get fired up about this one?
Yeah, just to be clear, Base is the layer 2 solution built on top of Ethereum, which hosts a lot of DeFi and a lot of innovation in the blockchain space. And a lot of experimentation happens there because it's quite cheap to use. And Craig, do you know a little bit more about this particular technology?
Yeah, so Zora is a Base project, which is a decentralized social media platform where every post is a token. Now, why this is causing such a stir is because the official Base account, which is obviously backed by Coinbase, a listed company, posted a photo that said Base is for everyone, and then thus created a token which went to $17 million market cap before crushing 92%. And just like that, everyone's yelling rug pull. And I think I heard someone call it the corporate pump fund, which is 100% right. So I'm probably of the mindset that more tokens isn't necessarily a good thing. Jesse, the head of Base, he's calling it a content coin, not a meme coin. And now Zora itself is actually doing a coin launch tomorrow, actually probably today when this airs. And they're saying that this coin has no purpose. It's for fun. There's no utility. They're just going out and admitting it. What do we think about this? Is this probably the final boss of these meme coin launches, or what's going on?
Yeah, so just for a bit of clarity here, it's kind of like an NFT. It's kind of like a token. Once you create this piece of content and put it on the platform, it creates a token and then people can trade and speculate on. And I see some really cool use cases for this. So if you have an article that you post and you're a freelance writer, you could potentially post this, it creates a token and you generate some revenue from that in a new and exciting way. And if it goes viral, then, you know, the author or the creator would be the beneficiary of that. But then on the flip side, it could just be used to produce low quality content that could be interpreted as a meme coin, like what Base has done as this test.
Content coin, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting use case. And obviously these things need to be experimented with in the free market. And yeah, I think Coinbase is in the right here. I don't think it's a big deal.
No, I think it's just the way that it went down though, because Coinbase have quite heavily said that they aren't backing any meme coins or making any meme coins, and they've gone out and done this. But I think what backs them up here is the fact that they made this content coin. People jumped on board really quickly. It went up high. And then very quickly they made another content coin. So people were like, oh, hang on, which is the real one? And then they run to the other one thinking, okay, it's this one. But he just came out and said, no, we're not making anything. These are just experiments. So it clearly was these guys just playing around.
I also read that 3 wallets held about 50% of the supply of this. Now, are there any ideas who these wallets were, or was it just Coinbase themselves?
Well, I think I can't imagine that the Coinbase creating a token and then dumping on their users. Like, I don't think that's a thing.
They said they were holding whatever they had remaining, but wouldn't that be the people that got in early? So
I get your use case, Blake, but like, why do we have to do it?
I think I'd be interested to see what happens with this Zora token that you said is launching today.
Well, they're giving out a lot of it to users who are using the platform to post and to create tokens. So it's going to be very much like a community-based launch where, you know, these adopters are going to be getting an airdrop. So let's see how this could reinvigorate some of the speculation in the market, or it could just be one of those ones that is a flash in the pan.
Well, this is a bit different. You're talking about tokenized content, but I feel like meme coins are back at the moment. There's a couple of billion a day rolling through Solana at the moment. It seems to be back on at the moment. It's buyer beware. People know they should know the risks by now. So if you're in that space, you know what's happening.
But it's more that it draws attention away from real projects. And I think that that's one of the issues that we had.
Yeah. I think it's all to do with what Pump Fund have been doing. They seem to have cleaned their act up because it's all back over on Pump Fund. But this one is a bit different. We're talking about brands experimenting with tokenized content here at scale.
Do we tokenize this podcast?
I think absolutely. I think there'll be a definite market for it.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
Let's go. Let's give it a go. We'll pop it out there as a little experiment and see what happens. We're early here, folks. Let's see how the rules of engagement change. All right, stay tuned for that exciting bit of tokenization. And with that, we'll move on to our third story. If you have seen the headlines over Easter over the last week, you may have caught wind of the Bitwise Q1 2025 market report. It was packed with a lot of data, and there were a few points that really stood out, some key moments that had the whole crypto world talking. Most of them were big wins, probably one red flag there. Boys, I know that both of you have had a little look over this. What caught your eye?
Well, it seems to be the stablecoins continue to be up only. They process more transaction volume in 2024 than Visa, and that's with 56 fewer years in the marketplace. So that is proper adoption.
Yeah, one that jumped out at me is that Bitcoin scarcity. So we're seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum all-time low levels on exchanges. And as well as that, there's being twice as much Bitcoin purchased by the ETFs than is being minted, being mined. So this suggests that demand is higher than the supply, which is obviously a really great indicator.
Also, Polymarket, your favourite, Craig, that you've given a go a few times. Polymarket is the online betting platform where you can bet on pretty much anything. It was really popular late last year when everyone was betting on the results of the election. You could also bet on who Taylor Swift was going to marry, for example. I think you can even bet here on the Australian election if you do fancy. But there were fears that that might die off post-election hype, but it's still thriving and is still growing fast in Q1. So Polymarket not going anywhere.
Which is great, but some of the more worrying things is that blockchain developer count is falling long term. So this is something that, you know, a lot of analysts point to as crypto being adopted is the amount of blockchain devs that are coming on. So, you know, I think Ethereum is still number one, Solana number two, but Bitwise reckons that this is due to devs flocking to AI, which makes a lot of sense, but that's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, I might just point out that it could be the case that a lot of developers now are using AI to be more efficient. So maybe you don't need as many engineers. As well as that, there's a lot more tooling and resources for people, for developers to use. Whereas over the past years, they might have had to build things from scratch as opposed to use libraries and template and things like that.
Becoming more efficient. That's a good argument.
There could be peace with the SEC. Now, we've seen a lot of changes happening in the US. There was a lot of legal cases on foot with prominent crypto firms like Coinbase, Kraken, Uniswap, and you know a lot of these have been put to bed now. I think that this is creating a positive outlook here on out.
Well, the new SEC guy is pro-crypto, so he's just joining now. So this is going to be a really good time, I think, for US-based crypto projects.
It was a great report, that one. We'll put it in the show notes. They didn't just drop numbers. They also captured the real mood of things. And I think product market fit is here. Institutional demand is real. And the regulatory climate in the US and everywhere else is changing. So there's some big energy heading into Q2 and beyond, which is positive. So like we said, we'll drop that report in the show notes below. We'll head off to a break now. But when we come back, we will head into some short, sharp news bites. Welcome back. You're listening to the Crypto Curious podcast. Time now for our short, sharp news bites brought to you by the Bamboo app. Please do check out the Bamboo app if you're looking to dollar cost average into the crypto market. Who's up next?
Yeah, I have one that I find pretty interesting, but hopefully everyone else does. The Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin has proposed replacing how Ethereum works to make it more efficient. Ethereum functions like a decentralized computer or a way of executing smart contracts or code on the Ethereum blockchain. And he's put a proposal forward that could increase efficiency by 100x. Now, there's a lot of calls out there in cryptoverse about Ethereum focusing too much on layer 2 scaling solutions instead of the core chain of Ethereum. Their revenue has reduced, but Vitalik now is back at the helm. He's putting forward really constructive ideas. These things are, however, complicated to implement, and it's a massive change. And I suspect...
Wouldn't this take years?
Yeah, I think this is the type of thing that can take years.
Positive news though, Craig. You happy with that?
Well, I don't know. I think if this is going to take 5 years, like that's not going to pump it, is it? Let's just pump it ASAP.
Still some positive news. What's up next?
What's next for me is OpenSea, which teased their token launch but haven't announced it yet. But
What's
they've had
OpenSea,
Solana
Craig?
token trading ahead of their C token launch. I'm guessing they're going to want to wait for the market to turn around before they launch. So they're turning into a bit more of a multi-chain, multi-asset trading platform. So you can now buy meme coins on OpenSea. The token airdrop will include US users as well and require no KYC, which is great news. I'm going to be really interested to see how this one goes. It's like years in the making, this one.
And OpenSea was the NFT trading platform that was the largest one and has slowly lost market share to other platforms. But now they're trying to make up time. But I think it could be too little, too late for these guys.
Moving on, Pokemon, who has become hugely popular again in the last 6 months. People are stealing them from shopping centres all over the world, all over Australia. It's hugely getting ram raided. They're hugely popular again, Pokemon cards in real life. But the NFT platform Courtyard is topping the charts, surpassing CryptoPunks and Bored Apes in trading volume at the moment. The app lets users tokenize and trade physical collectibles like Pokemon cards and is catching fire. This one is huge at the moment, logging over 38,000 unique sales this week and second only to Axie Infinity. So like I said, this is Pokemon going gangbusters again, collectibles.
This is cool. I like it. All right. Ethereum dominates dApp revenue. So dApps are decentralized exchanges or apps that are built on top of Ethereum. And they've generated over $1 billion in fees in the last quarter, which is ahead of Base, BNB Chain, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and all the others. Early smart contract adoption and liquidity is what's driving this. And there's nearly 5,000 applications built on top of Ethereum. So think of this as kind of like the App Store for Apple, but really built just for different blockchain use cases. So yeah, I think this is really positive. And I think that often we separate the revenue that's generated from Ethereum and the revenue that's generated from the layer twos, but I kind of see them as a bit of a bundle, or the recipients that receive that revenue are different, but it just paints a really great picture here.
So Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 on Ethereum, has grown their real-world assets category by 1,000% in the past year. So that's now topping $200 million. And when I say real-world assets, I mean users can get yield from real-world assets like bonds, real estate. But the chain is quickly becoming a real-world assets hub. But the token is still down 88%. What do you guys think about this? Like, this is clearly getting product market fit, but the token can't catch up. So why does that happen?
I still see this as a proof of concept. There's tens of, or if not hundreds of trillions of dollars of real world assets in the world, and 200 million is really just a drop in the ocean. So it's really great to see that the proof of concept is working, but there's definitely a long way to go here.
Maybe you just need one of the big players to take it up to get a little bit more publicity.
But I think what we've been seeing is that these big institutions, I think they're wanting to develop their own chains and own it themselves. Why give the fees and the control over to a decentralized community of developers and token holders when you can control it much more yourself? And these guys can obviously raise the funds to build it. The technology's there. You can copy and paste Arbitrum and launch it yourself because it's open sourced. So
Okay, well, I think that's all the short, sharp news bites that we have today. We'll no doubt have a bunch for next week. So thanks, everybody, for being with us and diving into this crypto world today. Hope you have taken something out of that. We'll be back again next week. Until then, stay curious and stay connected. You can do this by joining our Crypto Curious Facebook group or our Instagram page. We have a weekly crypto newsletter to keep you up to date. There's a link in the show notes below. Be sure to hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening to the podcast right now. And as I mentioned, have a look at Bamboo app for dollar cost averaging into the crypto market. There is a code CURIOUS you can use for $10 of free Bitcoin to get you started. Again, details in the show notes below. Thanks for being with us, folks. We'll be back next week. Bye for now.
bye, guys.
See you guys.